V-I-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. Today, we once again have an all-star guest room. I mean, it's just VIP up in here. We're going to continue to talk about taking care of our parents, but even more so this time, we're going to talk about things that we can do to help ourselves during the time of caretaking for our parents. And we'll have that awesome conversation after these important messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast is presented by Faulkner University. Faulkner University is a private Christian liberal arts university based in Montgomery, Alabama, with a mission to provide an education anchored by not only intellect, but also character and service. The Faulkner experience aims to educate the whole person. Every individual matters every day. We all want to become better versions of ourselves. No one wants to remain trapped where they are because of missed opportunities and unrealized dreams. At Faulkner University, we believe your dreams don't have an expiration date. We understand that you're looking for more than a degree. You want to find your niche and thrive in your career. Whether you're a high school senior just beginning your trek or an adult student looking for a better path, Faulkner is here to help guide your journey. Go to faulkner.edu to apply or get more info. That's faulkner.edu. I'm Travis Creasy. That's All-Pro Counselor Ben Hayes with 3-Chord Counseling. Ben, we are knocking some episodes out during Snowpocalypse, baby. I'm just telling you, it's awesome. It's good to spend this time with you, but also our wonderful guests.
Yep, awesome. Awesome time together every time we get to record, but even better when we have some amazing people with us. We've got Will, who is still with us. We had like kind of a drought of Will for a little while with all the youth group stuff and things that were happening, but he's been back with us. So Will, glad to have you.
Yeah, I thought the snowpocalypse would keep me away from you, not going to the office, but now we spend every single day together. So it's worked out well, but excited once again to have Cayron and Pam, the real VIPs of 3-Chord Counseling.
That's true.
As everybody around here knows. And so, Cayron, how are you today?
Doing great, Will. It's good to see everybody.
Miss Pam, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing great. Good to see you three guys. And you too, Cayron. I've missed seeing you.
That's right.
I was going to say, it's kept, Will and I have seen each other every day, even though we haven't been in the office. The three of us have missed each other every single day because the office has been snowed in. I drove by it. I think you actually got to go by the office today, Cayron, but it was the parking lot looked pretty full of snow and ice.
Yes, totally covered. And as I was leaving, actually a couple of more people came in, a couple of more business owners, and so it was nice to interact with them briefly, but they weren't going to be there for very long. They were just getting in to take care of a couple of things and then getting back home.
Well, the cool thing about counseling is, these days at least, is you can do online. So we have telehealth that we're able to do, and so the three of us, at least Cayron and I think Pam has done a few sessions as well, and so that's something that's growing. We can only see people who are in Alabama at the moment, but that might change. But of course, that's great that we can continue to at least have a few sessions when things are a little bit crazy like that. But anyway, just so glad to have you guys jump on with us. It's always a pleasure, and I know that there's some really important things that we want to kind of discuss on this.
Yeah, so this is kind of part 2 of taking care of our parents, kind of as they age or as things come along in their lives and also in our lives. And in the first episode, y'all gave some wonderful tips on helping with your parents and helping them through times of transition when it comes to health. But on this episode, we want to kind of talk a little bit about our own self-care or your own self-care in your different situations. I know in our family, my grandmother is 93. She was living with my aunt and uncle and would spend time with my parents, and then ended up breaking a hip and just needed a lot of care. And I kind of watched my mom and my aunt, just their stress levels go through the roof. Whether it was just everything they needed to do, getting her to different appointments. My dad's oldest sister has got dementia as well, and I've watched him just stress just a lot, to be the only caregivers for them and their situations. And so we kind of want to hear y'all's, I guess, perspective on how do you kind of step away and take care of yourselves? Because I know that if we can't at times be at our best, then we can't help others be at their best. And so maybe, Cayron, if you could start us off, give us one or two tips on maybe even self-care that allows you to be at your best through these times of transition.
Sure. And a lot of times I think that we want to give and give and give, to our loved one, and that self-care will at first maybe seem very selfish, but we also know that as we take care of ourselves, it makes us better equipped to care for our loved one, for our special person. But some of the things that I do is, of course, we always say have a good support system. But personally, I go to yoga once a week, and that's kind of my me time. And it's an hour where at first I'm still thinking about the day. I'm thinking about things that I need to do, things that I've done. But it doesn't take long until, with yoga, with any type of exercise regimen, you really do get in the moment and take care of yourself, there at that moment, and experience that relaxation, experience just that self-care. Something that Pam and I have talked about, to me, self-care is having a good cry. Just to really lean into the emotions, the sadness, the frustrations, and just allow your body to let it out. I was even reading that according to the Cleveland Clinic, letting tears out in a safe environment, it's good for you. It's good for your physical system. It can actually reduce stress. It's just part of being human. And that leads me into, I think it's 1 Peter 5, cast your cares on him because he cares for you. And that's something, it's not just a Bible verse, but it's something to repeat to yourself, that you're not alone, that caring for yourself makes sense because he cares for you. And so those are just some of the things that help me along the way.
And I will piggyback on to that. The prayer, meditation, quiet time has helped me to hear the message that God's wanting me to hear. And there was a difficult time frame, and it's a lot real hard, but there was a point that my Bible reading ended up in Haggai, and I've never really spent a whole lot of time there. And I was listening through the Bible, and all of a sudden that story, and as it was going, it's about rebuilding the temple, and and I'm like, and I started listening a lot harder and with a purpose, and I feel like that's what God needed me to know and hear was, don't be afraid, and listen to me. I mean, he's like, let's go, let's do this. And so it was quite an encouragement to get in his word and be still, because it is a season of real busyness and stress and, trying to think, what do I need to do for my family? What do I need to do for my mom and dad? I got all of these things, and plus work and plus this and just all of the things. And so finding a small moment to be still and to listen and to hear what God has to say. And having a support group, for the three of us has been very good. because we share that. We have this in common, this thread, this cord that does bring us, that we understand what's going on and with each other. And that's very important, to find a group of people or someone. If you have experienced that, then it'd be good to reach out to someone that is going through that. It does. I am looking at people that went through something similar, and I realize more of how I could have helped them and been a support as well. So, and that's important. I've also, I am a counselor, but I also have now gotten my own counselor that I go sit and spend some time with. And that's part of my self-care. I needed to do that. I needed to just go unload somewhere. And, these two are very helpful for me. But I also just had to go get the cry, go have the cry, go, or just go talk about it, talk through and really think about some things. And one of the things that has come out is also that, my priorities. And for right now, my priority is my mom and my dad. And there are some things that I have to say no to that I've never had to say no to before. And I don't always want to say no to. I like a whole lot of things, and I like to do a whole lot of things. And I've had to go no, and no, I cannot. And I have to release that guilt, because I really, I'm like, what, I want to do that. And God wants me to do that. Well, he does, but maybe not this season. I've had to tell myself, perhaps not this season, but it will come another time. And I've had to kind of let go of that and know that, this is this season is for me to take care of my parents, and not, I love working with kids at church, but sometimes I can't be responsible then. For me personally, I just need to, I make it to church.
You have to kind of set some boundaries sometimes and say, hey, these are the things I can do and these are the things I can't do. So,
right.
I think about the three parts of our title of the podcast: helping, healing, and humor. And I couldn't help but think that those three things are really important when I'm dealing with my dad. The idea of help at first is, I've been so thankful that my mom has been a part of his care, that my brothers have been a part of his care, that we've shared that load. Us men are not probably always the greatest at that. My mom has been just amazing at taking care of him. But at the same time, we've been able to say, Mom, go home. Let us sit with him for a little while. You need to take care of yourself. We didn't feel like it was best for him to stay at home because of her health, and because of some of the things we felt like were putting her in harm's way. And so at some point you go, hey, let's help each other get through that. And so I really struggle when I read people's posts on the Facebook pages for Lewy bodies that they don't have anybody to help them. I'm thankful for the church. Hopefully none of us in the church are having to go through things all by ourselves. And so I think the help and sometimes making the other parent take the break. That's the tough part, because we don't want mom to wear down taking care of dad. So the helping part's important. The healing part that I think Cayron's already kind of touched on as well is just taking care of yourself. Finding some things that you can do that help you, whether that's running, working out, yoga, a good movie, a good cry, as Pam, talked about, whatever those different things are that you need, finding the healing for you. And then, I find a lot of healing and help in the humor part of it. And if you know me and Travis, you know that that's just the case. I send text messages. Sometimes I get a kick out of some of the things Dad sees. I don't, not in a making fun of kind of way, because it's a real deal. But sometimes you have to laugh about it. When I was at the Child Advocacy Center doing my first counseling work, they would tell some jokes occasionally about things, and I at first thought, is this a test? Like if I laugh at this, they're going to fire me, because it was, it might be somewhat off color about things that were going on. And I thought, I don't know how to respond to this. And so, they just said, look, if you don't learn to laugh at this scenario, you can't make it through the things that we have to see on a daily basis. They were really tough scenarios of kids being abused. And so they were never taking a lot of that. But it was just things that they tried to tell each other and ways that they talked to each other to get a laugh, because they said, if you don't, this job can be miserable. And so I found that that's the case too with dementia, with taking care of your parents. Like, you've got to kind of learn to be able to laugh about some things, laugh at yourself, when you mess up and things that you have to do, and not take things too seriously. There's a time to be serious, of course, but I think there's a time for humor too, and humor, laughter can be the best medicine. So hopefully you're taking care of each other and you're taking care of yourself, but you're also finding a little humor in things as well.
I think for me, and of course I'm not in a situation, to speak to what y'all are, but I would also encourage people that are walking through this, that are dealing with their parents, let the grandkids help. Like, we want to help. We just don't always know what to do. And I've been thankful. Mom and Sherry and Lucas, my first cousin, called me not too long ago and said, hey, does y'all's church bus have a wheelchair lift? And so now anytime Granny needs to go somewhere, like, me and the church bus are going. And it's like, I've been able to, relieve some stress of how do we move Granny wherever she needs to go. And it's like, as grandkids, like, we look to our grandparents and we hate to see what they're going through. But like in my situation, I was raised by my grandmother because mom was at work, dad was at work. We stayed with her all the way until Mars Hill happened, basically. And so it's like, we want to do what we can as well. But what I've seen is mom and dad going, you have a young daughter. This is not your time to help. And it's like, thank you. I get what you're saying. And I know that you're caring for me, but we want to be involved as well. And so a lot of times don't even look past your own kids, because those people that are hurting physically are people that we dearly, dearly care about and that have changed our lives for the better as well. And I know at times we've just taken the great grandkids, just to go see Granny. And it always seems like when you have 3 great granddaughters trying to climb all over a 93-year-old, it sounds miserable, but today gets better, And so it's just some of those of, we want to help. We don't always know, what to do. And I know, like in your case, Ben, of course, your kids are in my youth group, and there's constant, hey, can you pray for Papa? We want to make sure that Papa's okay. And we care and we want to do, and we don't, we want to help carry that stress, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and to give a break. And sometimes I guess that's hard for even a parent to ask their own child to help with their parent. But we do, and we want to be there because we want to relieve whenever we can. So don't look past that. There's people right there in your own family that can help. They just need to be told, hey, here's what you need to do, and they want to.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because I did, you can sometimes get in that trap of like, I've got to do it all myself. And actually, Ben had asked me, he was like, so did you tell or say what you needed? And I was like, no. And because I was grumbling about something, and so I did it. I named what I needed, and that person stepped right in and did. So sometimes you do have to spell it out and say what you need, and it helps then your attitude as well. Then you don't feel like you're carrying it all alone, because really no one wants you to carry it on your own. they want to share that as well. So
I learned that very thing from my sister-in-law, JJ. She said, if you don't tell me what you need, I can't help you. I mean, it sounds blunt, but it was exactly what she needed to say, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. I learned a lot that day.
The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. HCU produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University offers 5 degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. HCU is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and is an associate member of the Association of Theological Schools. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt. In fact, most graduates finish at HCU without owing anything for their education. For the spring 2024 semester, HCU is offering full tuition scholarships for the graduate level students. For more information about the scholarships they offer, visit www.hcu.edu. HCU invites you to the 2024 Heritage event at the Marriott Shoals Conference Center. Join them on Saturday, August 24th for an incredible night of music from the legendary Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder. General admission tickets and table sponsorships are available for purchase. Visit hcu.edu to purchase your tickets today. If you think HCU is the perfect university for you, visit hcu.edu to schedule a tour or apply today. Heritage Christian University helps you thrive in your ministry. We've reached that time in this episode, and I think this may be a good one. I don't know. Hopefully y'all got the text. I tried to send it ahead of time, but
What you got?
I can't remember when I met Cayron for the first time, but I know Pam has been dealing with Ben and Travis for a long time. Not to age any of us in here, but and definitely teenage Travis, which was his not his peak form, I guess. I don't know that that's how I would put that or not, but most annoying for sure. At least I hope. Hopefully it's gotten better. But as per tradition around here, so what is, and we'll go with Cayron and Pam, whichever one wants to go first. And Will, you could kick in on this one too. You know, what's your favorite Ben and Travis or most laughable at us in some sense moment? Or how you met us, one or the other, however.
I'll tell you how I met y'all. I met Ben Hayes the moment he walked into the vestibule at Highland Park, and I think he was in 5th grade. And I looked down. No. There was this sweet little 5th grader, this sweet little 5th grader there, and was getting involved in Lads to Leaders. And I know that y'all have told the story about how that happened, but just the fact that he walked in just with this confidence, but just this little guy ready to learn to be a better public speaker. Maybe this is supposed to be a funny story, but it's not. But just the fact that there was this little guy that walked in, and now, he's the minister there. It was also at Highland Park that I didn't meet Travis, but I can remember the first time I heard about Travis. There was a vacation Bible school going on, and the youth group was helping with some of the fun songs. And you may remember the skit from years ago, and I guess it's still sort of done, but it's like, focus on this, focus on this. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And how one person will be focused, elsewhere where they don't need to be, but then you have to come back to focus on God, And I remember one of the members of the youth group comes in with where her focus was, but it was focus on Travis. Yeah. Focus on Travis. And I thought, okay. But apparently that's where she was focused.
Oh.
I remember that.
Poor girl.
I have a feeling there was a lot of young girls at Maywood who were focused on Travis.
Yeah,
Many
absolutely.
I see a little blushing going on there.
There is a
Travis.
little blushing. I wasn't quite ready for that one. So if
You
you're
asked.
embarrassed, Travis, hey, there you go. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Well, I
Why is Will
remember-
embarrassed? He looks red. Oh, it's probably the snow and the wind.
Oh.
That's got to be it.
That too.
Was I supposed to tell when I first met Will as well?
No, you can.
Sure.
I mean, we're here for stories. I mean, if you can
Hey.
embarrass him, even better.
Will does have a talent that I don't know if he's ever mentioned to y'all, but I think it was probably maybe during final exams. Here he is, this awesome freshman in high school, and you may or may not remember this, but we started stacking quarters on our elbow to see how many quarters we could get stacked. And I think Will, I mean, he set the record that day. It was you and Mercedes Beckman.
Yeah.
And y'all were just really into it. But it was a great talent to be able to snatch those quarters off your elbow. I don't know. I don't mean that was the first time I remember you during the entire semester of school. But
It's the only talent that I had the entire. That's what got me passing English
that was
class.
it. That had to been it. Yeah, extra credit right there.
So
That's
What
good.
you got, Pam?
Well, Ben and Travis, just y'all growing up at camp, just watching you two at Maywood, and all of y'all shenanigans there. But Travis, the story, I mean, I know your monumental moment in my life. Turning 30 is very hard, and that's probably the hardest birthday that I had. And it was a Sunday night. It was at Burger King in Florence. I know exactly where I was when this little snotty-nosed 12-year-old, maybe, 13-year-old, I don't know, that was hanging out with Matt Gargus. And he bopped up to me and said, "Are you Matt's mama?" Well, Matt is 1 year younger than me. And I just thought, I'm going to smack this kid through tomorrow. And
You deserved it. You should have.
I would have paid to seen it.
to think now, I mean, I would love to see what my face was, because I'm sure it was like, "Rah." And because I was already like, man, this is tough when kids are starting to say, calling me ma'am and all of that. And then he thinks I'm Matt's mama. And so I will have to say this, though. I had on like one of those denim dresses that everyone wore. And so I probably did look like a grandma. And but I did straighten you out and say, no. I mean, I'm sure I had all of the sarcasm. And it's funny that I now work in a middle school, so I deal with all of that all the time. But
Getting you ready. I was just getting you ready.
She takes it out on all of those middle schoolers on a daily basis, which you said, trauma.
Yes, you got me ready for all of the smart mouth and the clueless as to how old people are. So, and Will, I think you knew my guys, Terry and William, before I came along. So you were around for Terry's adventure when Terry decided in Hawaii that he was going to get an earring. And
I've heard all of the stories about Terry from back in the day.
I watched your husband almost give Joey Krieger his first heart attack.
I'm sure.
And we had more fun with Terry than we did. I don't think any student had any fun with each other. We just had more fun with Terry than anybody else on that trip with all his shenanigans. And so,
some of those I was like, you didn't. Surely you didn't do that, But we were dating at that time, so.
Wow, core memory of high school is that trip, and including Terry, very much so.
Mm.
we won't mention any of the stories. That different podcast.
You might not should.
I certainly appreciate it, even though I got embarrassed twice for being a twerp. But
it's always you, Travis.
It's always, that I knew what I was getting into. Well, I appreciate you guys being sounding boards. Anytime we have an idea, especially if there's some grammar involved, it's like kick it over to Pam and Cayron. and make sure we're not too
Cayron.
far off base here on what we're attempting to do. Of course, you guys probably one of the first ones to hear about the adventures of Ben and Travis and the worry coaster and all that stuff. So
It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
your ideas and putting up with us and sending you a million drafts of the book for you to read and go through and dealing with all that. But man, you guys are such encouragers to all of us. I mean, and we just talked a whole podcast, 2 podcasts worth of how important encouragement is. And so certainly if you're listening to this, realize that and you're in one of these circumstances, these situations, that you're not alone and there are other people. And that's certainly why we do the podcasts that we do. We want to take those circumstances. And, not all of them are necessarily evil or bad or terrible. They're just situations that people find themselves in. And we believe that God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and of course, the Bible, has a lot to say about those things, but also understanding there are Christians who are out there going through it too. And that we would love to be of assistance. I'm sure that if you're in Alabama, and specifically the Shoals area, the 3-Chord Counseling crew would love to hear from you if there's a way they can serve you or help you out in any way. And so that is 3chordcounselingshoals.com, correct?
That's right.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.